CBS Sports, the NCAA Basketball Championship.
I was 6 feet tall by the time I was 14 years old. So the first question that people I met always asked me was, do you play basketball? I said, yeah, kind of. Actually, I played every chance I got. I just never got that good at it. We played one night a week in a great old gym like this one with Boy Scouts. And then every other night of the week, we played in somebody's driveway. About 12 of us, 6 on 6 or 6 against 7, sliding around on the gravel, winter nights, after school, on into dark. And as the years went by and the other kids got shorter and shorter, I never got that much better. I never felt like height was any kind of an advantage. I always felt like a tall guy had all he could do just trying not to look ridiculous. But every once in a while, sliding around on the gravel, slapping at the ball, shoving each other, falling down, you'd do something that made you feel so graceful. Take a pass, turn, make your shot, and the minute it left your fingertips, you knew that it was good. Basketball is a game that, even if you're mediocre to start with, and then suddenly you're 45 and you're not even quite as good as that, there still is a shot someplace on this court that'll make you feel as graceful as you can feel. You need to look for it a little bit, and then you just need to think to yourself, 12 seconds left in the game. They bring the ball down court. The crowd is on their feet. Lake Wobegon's down by 1 point. 6 seconds and 5, and they pass in to the tall guy, and he turns for his shot.
This is Kansas City, and tonight, grace will be at a premium. For Danny Manning of Kansas, the challenge is to maintain the style that has made him Player of the Year. And for Larry Brown, to keep alive Kansas's dream of the glass slipper. For Oklahoma's Stacey King, he must continue the kind of play that merits the crown. And Billy Tubbs, explosive Oklahoma Sooners, must try to contain Kansas for the 3rd time this season. The road to the championship culminates tonight in America's heartland. It's Kansas against Oklahoma for the 50th NCAA Basketball Championship. The Kemper Arena in Kansas City. No better place to hold a national championship encounter between the Big 8 Oklahoma Sooners and Kansas Jayhawks. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Nance, and welcome to CBS Sports coverage of college basketball's national championship game. This is the golden anniversary of the tournament, and what a difference a half a century makes. Oregon won the first championship in 1939, beating Ohio State. During the game, an over-aggressive player in pursuit of a loose ball ran into the championship trophy and broke it in half. It took 2 players to hoist the trophy on that night. This year, the prize is in one piece, and it awaits one team, Kansas or Oklahoma. And, of course, Brent Musburger and Billy Packer will call the national championship game, and they're standing by at courtside.
Well, thank you very much, Jim, and good evening, everybody. And, Billy, we hope we don't have a broken trophy tonight. We know we will have a broken heart or two after it's over. Now, Oklahoma is a solid 8-point choice over Kansas, and with good reason. They have beaten them twice by that margin in Big 8 competition. But, Billy, Kansas has the magnificent Danny Manning. He's done everything for the team this year but drive the bus over to the arena.
Well, we haven't had a player since '79 when Larry Bird put a team on his back at Indiana State and carried them all the way. Manning can do it all. He can shoot. He can pass on the inside. He's a great rebounder on either end of the floor. Here you see him with 2 offensive boards against Duke University. The other thing that the man can do, he can play some defense on the inside and stay out of foul trouble. There he's battling his way against Danny Ferry. A super all-around player.
You know, Billy, I think that Manning in Kansas will find it somewhat difficult to operate against that Sooner defense tonight.
Well, one of the things Oklahoma has done to everybody is go into their 1-2, 1-1 full court press, and they have variations against this, obviously. Arizona's tried to go over the top to McMillan. Right away, the trap comes up in the corner, so he has to go back to Tolbert. When he does, watch Ricky Grace all the way at half court. He spots the potential passing lane to Kerr. He's going to slash on through, and all of a sudden, the defense becomes Oklahoma's offense. And here goes Grace, and what does he do? Get a simple jumper from the foul line. A tremendous defensive bluff.
And Billy, your analysis of this game.
Well, a number of things. If you're Kansas, one of the key things is time of possession. If you have the ball in your hands, Oklahoma can't score. That will be a major key. The second thing is the double trouble. How in the world do you stop Grant and King down low? They have been awesome in this tournament. But the third item is all Kansas, and that's that twilight zone effect we've had in the 80s. Look up there at the ceiling. North Carolina State and Villanova, two teams that came out of nowhere to win the championship.
And Billy, Kansas already is trying to get us into that twilight zone. For more on that, here's James Brown. James?
All right, Brent, thank you very much. Kansas University will be trying to capitalize on a bit of inspiration. In uniform for pregame warm-ups only is Archie Marshall, the injured Kansas star who tore up his knee back in January. Since that time, Danny Manning has personally dedicated this season to Archie Marshall. Oklahoma, the other hand, that is a very calm and loose team. The only change in their pregame routine, a visit by former Sooner star Wayman Tisdale, who had a long conversation with Stacey King. King adores him and is now pumped up to give Danny Manning the game of his life. So coming up, it's the national championship game, Oklahoma and Kansas, right here on CBS.
CBS Sports coverage of tonight's national championship game is sponsored by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. UPS, for overnight delivery from coast to coast. UPS runs the tightest ship in the shipping business. And by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet.
One game for the national championship, and here in Kansas City, this will be the 10th NCAA championship decided in this city, more than any other. The Kansas Jayhawks, they are 1-3 in championship competition. Ironically, they have lost all three of those games right here in Kansas City. They have beaten Kansas State and Duke, so they have avenged two of their late season losses. Now they would like to do it against Oklahoma. Oklahoma has roared to this championship game. They came out of the Southeast Regional, and you could see that twice down there against Auburn and Louisville, they soared over the 100-point mark. And then against Arizona, it was 86-78. Now, how will Oklahoma handle Danny Manning here tonight? Coach Billy Tubbs, can you stop Manning?
You just try to slow Danny down. I don't know of anybody that can consistently go out and shut him down. But I think the real key is to slow him down somewhat, but really try to stop their other people and not let somebody get out of hand and have a career game.
He's a very strong player. You know, I don't think he gets a lot of credit for his strength. He posts up very well, and he's so long, it's hard to get around him. And, you know, he's quick with his shot, and it's going to be hard to try to front him because he can post you up from behind and get those alley-oop lobs.
To meet the starting lineups, let's go to PA announcer Frank Fallon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Kemper Arena in Kansas City for tonight's national championship game between the Kansas Jayhawks and the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, let's meet the starting lineups. For Kansas, at a forward, a 6'4" junior from Washington, D.C., number 21, Milt Newton. For Oklahoma, at forward, a 6'5" senior from Renton, Washington, number 44, Dave Seeger. For Kansas at forward, a 6'8" senior from Lawrence, Kansas, number 24, Chris Piper. For Oklahoma at forward, a 6'8" senior from Sparta, Georgia, number 25, Harvey Brent. At center, a 6'10" senior from Lawrence, Kansas, number 25, Danny Manning. For Oklahoma at center, a 6'10" junior from Lawton, Oklahoma, number 33, Stacey King. For Kansas at guard, a 6'3" sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma, number 14, Kevin Pritchard. For Oklahoma at guard, a 6'1" senior from Dallas, Texas, number 14, Ricky Grace. For Kansas at guard, a a 6'5" sophomore from Charleston, Illinois, number 33, Jeff Gelder. For Oklahoma at guard, a 6-foot junior from Garland, Texas, number 10, Mookie Blaylock. And introducing the head coaches. For Kansas in his 5th season, Larry Brown. For Oklahoma in his 8th season, Billy Tubbs.
Billy Tubbs is trying to do something that no coach has done against Larry Brown at Kansas. Sweep 3 games in 1 year. Back in a moment. Well, it's a great honor to be selected to referee a national championship game. And the lead referee tonight is Tim Higgins out of Ramsey, New Jersey. And his 2 umpires are John Clougherty of Raleigh, North Carolina, and Eddie Hightower of Alton, Illinois. A top-flight crew working the action here tonight. Oklahoma, a number 1 seed, will be wearing their home whites, and the Jayhawks in their traveling blue. You might recall they broke out those red uniforms a couple of years ago in Dallas. They have stored them away forever. Loose off the tap, control Oklahoma. And they put up the first field goal. Mookie Blaylock at 2. Right off the bat, the Sooners get it. They burn the pressure. Pritchard goes the length, but he travels.
Brent, what Kansas cannot do is to get in a running game early. And even though Pritchard saw an open path, you can see how Blaylock's quickness caught up to him. Man-to-man by Kansas.
Grace is 14. Dropping it in towards King, and they lose it all out of bounds, and Larry Brown quickly over there on the far side, you can see, signaling what kind of attack he wants to use. Now notice the 25, Manning is back. They go the home run ball again to Pritchard, and they draw the foul on Grace, and it looks, Billy, like Larry's strategy is to throw deep on it.
They can run with Oklahoma, but they can't beat them playing this kind of a game. And what they're trying to do is take what the defense has given them, which is the long pass, but Pritchard is not going to be quick enough to handle Grace and Blaylock down there, and on that occasion he got fouled. That was a full-court man-to-man press.
Gelder throws it into Pritchard, who is wearing the tape bandage there on his right knee. Manning up with his first shot, ties the game.
Went right by Grant. He's got that beautiful lean-in one-hander.
Dump to King and a double-team defense that time, and he traveled. That is the second Sooner turnover against Brown's Jayhawks in the early moments of this championship game.
There you see the full-court man-to-man. Manning tried to break long.
Now Pritchard, who is out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, brings it up. Just a few moments ago, Larry Brown addressed this team and said, don't be afraid of winning. They dump to Manning on the jump hook turnaround. He's 2 for 2.
He's got his eyes, Brent, are looking right at that hoop. When he touches it, he looks like he wants to explode for a huge night, and he has had big numbers against Oklahoma in the 2 previous games.
A total of 58, Billy, and there is King coming right back with that great release of his, so quick off the glass. Now Pritchard in the middle, pull up jump shot, and Larry has decided to go right after the defense.
It will take its toll, Brent, as this game goes on. We saw what great condition athletes Oklahoma is, and Kansas not that deep.
Billy, down in Norman, Brown pulled it back out in the second half and went to more of a tempo game. Clearly, Grant is open, and a great play by Milton Newton on defense, but it is stolen by Blaylock. Missed the shot, and now Gelder comes back for the Jayhawks.
Super defense by Piper.
This time the pass, and Newton comes to the glass, and this Jayhawk team is on fire here tonight. Pull up by Blaylock, not there. Yanked away now by Manning. Can they keep it up? It is not a real deep Kansas team. Piper, and reaching in and knocking the ball away and committing his second personal for Coach Tubbs' Grace. Coach Tubbs said tonight, shortly before the game after the players left, he said, I'm not sure how to read this team's mood tonight. He said they're a little more serious than we've seen them lately.
Brent, they came out to shoot around about 25 minutes before the hour, which put them out there 45 minutes before game time, which is very unusual.
Taken away, and Manning reaching back in, commits his first personal. He knows it, raised his hand, and walks back down. He lost the ball, and reached back in and committed his first personal foul, and the first of the evening, with his dad, Eddie Manning, watching there from the sideline. Former college player down at Jackson State. Grant off the fake. And Seeger brings it back out and guns the three.
The Big 8 record setter in regard to threes in a game was 7. Nice job by Piper to pull up so he didn't get in the trap.
Two teams which know each other so very well here tonight. 8-7, Kansas leading. Manning gliding with the miss, and Piper follows.
One of the most unsung players in this NCAA tournament is Piper. A great defender and doesn't hurt you on offense because he doesn't occupy the ball much.
At this level of intensity, the big question remains the Kansas bench. King short on the shot. Seeger again with a defensive rebound. Offensive rebound, and Blaylock will go for it. Down away from the ball. It goes against Grant. Kansas ball. That's his first personal.
Brent, that was the 91st offensive rebound by Mookie Blaylock, who stands 6 feet tall, but has a great nose for the ball on the inside, particularly on the offensive glass. You've got to block him out.
That full court pressure that Oklahoma uses to set up the offense. That's how they increase the tempos with the defense. Manning did not expect Geldner to cut toward the glass, threw the ball out of bounds. Now that is 4 Kansas turnovers already. Remember, they turned it over 21 times Saturday afternoon against Duke. Blaylock, who came from the JC. There were 5 junior college additions, and Newton gets out, gets a hand on it, but it winds up in King's possession, and Stacey King hits his second field goal here.
But you know how they're playing King and Grant honestly, playing actually behind them, so they're going to be able to handle the ball. There's the double team. Man-to-man defense.
Against the trap. They wanted Piper. They've thrown it out of bounds.
And what happened there is that Pritchett's teammates all ran away from him. Somebody had to come back to the ball to give him a passing lane.
Now Oklahoma looking to gain the lead here with this possession at the 16-minute mark. Trailing 10-9.
Grace and Blaylock are Wittenberg and Lowe from NC State. They know each other so well.
Grant. Newton knocked it out of bounds. Oklahoma's ball. They'll set the play off the inbounds pass. Milt Newton, who grew up in the Virgin Islands and then attended high school in the Washington, D.C. area, has been such a pleasant surprise for Coach Brown. Grant's turnaround good, and Oklahoma leads it 11-10 at the 15:35 mark.
Kansas
quickly to Manning's hands, and here's Pritchard. And Pritchard puts the Jayhawks back ahead.
Brent, this pace is Oklahoma's pace, and I would expect to see Kansas get a little tired here shortly.
Seeger misses that three. Piper rebounding. Manning up the court to Geldner. Inside to Manning, unstoppable right there. Grant did not even go to commit the personal foul. He didn't contest the shot.
Danny Manning really put a body to get offensive position.
Steal by Piper. Jayhawks come back, leading it 14-11, and Manning slowly coming down. Grant gets it back for the Sooners, and Manning was catching his breath down here this time.
Danny's starting to push a little bit on the inside.
Grant's field goal pulls Oklahoma back to within one. It's 14-13, Kansas.
Smart move by Kansas here. Get a little breath, let the referee go after the ball.
They go to trap. Pritchard gets it into Piper's hands. And again, Oklahoma gets a turnover, and that's number 7 in the turnover department for the Jayhawks. But Pritchard goes and forces one himself, and that's 5 by the Sooners, so not a huge advantage. Now Newton down. Wrap around. Beautiful shot by Newton.
He has been the unknown Jayhawk in this tournament. Brent doing a great job offensively.
Timeout, a thrilling start. The fans are on their feet in the Kemper Arena. 14:02. A blistering start by the Jayhawks. 8 of 9 from the field, and Oklahoma 6 of 16. Billy?
Here's Newton on the great move he makes on the inside. He's got the best vertical leap on the squad, and you can see how he goes right by Grant, stays in the air, and makes the play. Good hit ahead by Pritchard. We'll see another angle of him coming in here, and because of that vertical leaping ability, he can just go by Grant and hang in the air.
If you want to go back to the Villanova upset of Georgetown, remember one thing. There was familiarity there on the part of the Villanova players. The same thing exists here tonight with the Jayhawks. And Larry Brown has gone to his bench. He has substituted 2 fresh players already. Grace is short, and coming out is Newton. There's one of them, Normore, the football player. He drives for the layup. When you're not intimidated by your opponent, you can sometimes play with a fever. They've been out here with these Sooners before. They were within 3 points in Norman when Danny Manning fouled out. The Jayhawks will not back off, but they know they're up against a ton of talent here tonight. The foul against the Jayhawks, and that's the first on Piper and the team's second.
That's one of the first mistakes defensively Piper has made in this tournament, Brent. He got a little bit too close to King and allowed him to put the ball on the floor and go on by. Piper's footwork defensively is about as good as any college player you'll see.
Kansas on an 8-2 run, Billy, over the last 2 minutes now. And good in inside defense against Oklahoma so far, against Grant and King. King way out here on top this time. Seeger drives baseline, short with the shot, but great rebound from King.
One of the things Kansas is doing to Oklahoma that Oklahoma doesn't see very often, and that is they have 2 post defensive players. Here you see King getting the rebound. Scooter Berry can't go with him. King with those soft hands puts it up inside. And Brent, what this does is it allows the Kansas defenders on the perimeter to stay with their men, which means Blaylock and Grace don't get a chance to put up those 3-point shots.
So with King shooting the 1 free throw, an effort here to complete the 3-point play, and it makes it a 2-point game. Kansas 18, Oklahoma 16. A great steal there by Grant, but he could not tie it, and Manning comes away. There was the pressure defense, and Manning on the wraparound pass. Great hustle by Newton. Normore dives, and the possession arrow points over to Kansas. Oklahoma, remember, controlled the opening tap.
I'll tell you, their defense is tough. Look at the quick hands by Seeger. He actually touched that ball. So Newton would have been smart to let it go out of bounds, but of course he couldn't see that at the time, and here's the tie-up with 3 Oklahoma defenders right around the ball.
Piper again dropping back to help out. Here is Normore. Jayhawks safety during the fall, pressed into service because Coach Larry Brown was desperate for bodies. Normore now running this team with Scooter Berry, the off guard, running through without the ball. Lob pass to Manning. Beautiful pass by Berry.
Good backdoor cut. Excellent look by Scooter Berry on the inside. Again, another one of those unknown Jayhawks. Now, look at how Danny Manning held King at bay instead of breaking him too early. Perfect timing on the play.
Now Manning fronting Grant. King coming up to the free throw line, gets it into Grace's hands, and they get back to Grant. Great inside defense by the Jayhawks. Sealed up beautifully by Piper. In now. And Berry will pull up at the free throw line. Missing the shot. Grace runs it down now for the Sooners. The Sooners are not getting easy field goals here so far in this game. Now the 3 by Seeger, a great outside shooter. That's his second of the night.
Grace not afraid to take the ball in among the trees on his drive.
A 1-point Jayhawk lead. Newton loses control. Might have had the layup. But King was back there on defense. You don't know how strongly he would have challenged that time. And now it is Keith Harris, the sophomore from Santa Monica. He'll replace Piper. And Pritchard will come back in. Larry Brown, realizing what Billy Packer pointed out, the quickness of the pace here, he goes to the substitutes. So far, Billy Tubbs has left his starters out on the floor. That's not unusual if you're not familiar with Oklahoma. They're in tremendous physical condition this fall.
Nice fake by Danny Manning. Sensational move.
He has exploded for 10 points here tonight.
Brent, what's so tough is that Manning is the kind of guy you got to play outside, and then he can take a big man and go down by him by putting the ball on the floor.
Kansas 22, Oklahoma 19, 11:25 first half. Now on the turnover, Manning goes for the home run. Normore for the layup.
Can Manning do any more? You know, he's had a game in the first 10 minutes.
Grant on that quick turnaround from the baseline. 24-21, Kansas leading it by 3. And Berry will return, and Normore will sit down, but Normore played very well.
One of the leading tacklers on the squad. We're not even talking about a wide receiver. Look at the field goal shooting percentage.
Remember
it's Villanova? Let's look back up at that screen.
And you wonder if Jeff Geldner can keep it going as he replaces Newton, gives him a break. But how will they rest Danny Manning? That becomes the question. Now Pritchard in the middle. Geldner for the layup.
What a weapon Danny Manning is to beat the press, too. They threw right over Blaylock's head.
King out high. Puts it down on the floor, trying to create off the dribble.
Well, that's his second foul.
Now Larry Brown needed to get Manning to the halftime intermission with only one personal. Brown not pleased with that call.
Now, this is a very tough decision for Larry Brown. A lot of time to go. And he knows he'd like to keep Danny Manning on the floor, but to pick up his third in that first half could be trouble. He probably is going to have to let him sit for a few minutes, give him a rest.
Along with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. You're watching the NCAA National Championship basketball game. Oklahoma and Kansas, both from the Big Eight. Only the third time in the 50 years of this fabulous tournament, the two teams from the same conference have played for the championship. The Big Ten has done it, Indiana and Michigan. And the Big East, we've already referred to that game several times. That was Georgetown, Villanova. And now here tonight, Oklahoma and Kansas. And the big man for the Jayhawks, Manning, sits down at the 10:44 mark with those two personal fouls. And the pressure falls now on Piper, Harris, Pritchard, Geldner, and Berry. They are without their Mr. Everything.
I wonder now if they're going to try to use a little bit of clock.
Harris went right to the back of the glass.
That was a big basket because that's a confidence builder there to know you can get the points on the board without Manning in the game.
They have built a 5-point lead, 28-23 over Coach Billy Tubbs.
But I don't think Billy Tubbs is worried about this lead at all. As a matter of fact, I think the pace of the game is something that he feels very comfortable with, even though he's behind at this time. When you look up at that score, we're looking at a score up in the 90s if this continues, and that really favors Oklahoma's chances.
King with the jump shot over everything, but there is Blaylock, a fabulous offensive rebounder for his size. They did not seal him up. He worked his way free. Berry quickly to Pritchard. Off a fake is fouled by Grant. Grant hammered into him. Hit him in the side of the head.
Grant just couldn't get there in time, but again, Kansas is really attacking every chance that they have. But remember the game Saturday when Duke had so many chances to break against Kansas and never could convert, even though they had good numbers on that fast break opportunity.
Berry sits back down as Newton returns. Geldner will come out too because Normore is also in there. Let me give you the 5 Jayhawks out there without Manning quickly. Normore, Newton, Pritchard. Piper receives the pass from Harris. So that's the lineup he'll go with against the Oklahoma starting 5.
Oklahoma goes to that 2-3 zone. Now, a lot of people think that this is the best way to play Kansas because it takes away some of the great movement they have in their passing game.
King takes Piper down to the post, and he brings some seconds off that clock.
Of course, that's what the zone does also. It takes away your opportunity to put pressure on that ball.
Pritchard's 3 is on the money for Kansas. 31-25 now at the 9:30 mark. The biggest lead by the Jayhawks. Seeger comes back and hits a 3 for OU.
Good cross-court passing.
And Pritchard again, great defense by King. Didn't foul him and kept the ball from going out of bounds. Race into Blaylock's hands. And the Sooners will quickly try to put it up, knowing that Manning is not on the floor, and try to get some kind of a run going. Seeger has hit 3 3-pointers here in the first half. King now at the baseline, and they quickly put 5 points on the board. And they're back to within 1, 31-30. Now Newton
Newton attacks for Kansas. And it's 33-30 as the pace continues red hot here in this title game.
You notice how King does not come and chop down with a cheap foul. He stays in the game because he just doesn't get in foul trouble.
And Blaylock hammers a home run. That's 4 of 5 now from the three-point line. And pass, Oklahoma's ball. Here they come after the turnover with the score tied. Grant misfiring. Now quick Blaylock disappears. I can't remember a lead vanishing that quickly. And Tubbs wanted traveling over there on that far side.
Well, a tough break for Larry Brown and the Kansas club to have Manning in this foul trouble. He's got to use a little bit of clock here. Newton, the main weapon in this particular offensive set of what he has on the floor.
So again, they back it out as they did that last trip down the floor, winding the shot clock down. They're going to take it down inside 10 seconds. Sooner fans chanting boring, but really this is the only strategy that Kansas has available with Manning out. Normore's three is on the money.
That's absolutely perfect execution. Larry Brown's going to go back with Danny Manning, gave him a rest, but you have to remember he's got the 2 fouls on him.
And they turn it over. A bad pass. Piper's got the ball. He wanted Harris. Oh, open is Newton. And a great steal by Blaylock. Stuck a hand in it and brings it back for the Sooners. Dishes to Grant. He is fouled. Now, that's not a technical hanging up there. He was protecting himself from coming down and possibly suffering an injury. Look at the hands of Blaylock. Those hands are quick enough to catch flies. He just swatted that ball out, Billy, and brought it down the floor.
Great job by Blaylock because it was a wide open play. And there's Grant trying to protect himself on the dunk with a man underneath him.
The big fella, Danny Manning, returns with those 2 personal fouls. 5 team fouls against Kansas and 4 against Oklahoma. Grant is at the free throw line, and you see there the number 11 Lincoln Minor is in for the first time. He's a backcourt player, 6'3", a junior out of Houston. He also came from JC land. In fact, he was a teammate of the 2 Sooner guards a couple years ago. Blaylock and Grace all played junior college ball together down in Texas.
Brent, when you talk about junior colleges, 30 JC transfers are on Big 8 rosters.
Now we're talking about Normore, the football player, Billy. He's tied his career high with 7 points here tonight. He's been a big factor. The twin brother of Horace Grant of the Chicago Bulls hammers home the free throws. We've got a timeout with Kansas leading Oklahoma 36-35.
When you look for champions, look to college basketball on CBS Sports.
I want to show you the biggest and most courageous Kansas fan of them all, 15-year-old Ryan Gray. He was presented with a motorized vehicle earlier in the season by the Kansas Jayhawk players. This youngster has an inoperable tumor, and for the last few years he has been very close to the Jayhawks. He is a neighbor of Coach Larry Brown, and Larry has been voted the Sports Leader of the Year by the Special Olympics. He's been on the team bus, traveling over to the practices, coming to the games, and he has got to be so pleased. Billy, what is that shooting percentage so far?
17 of 20, 85%. I hope John Thompson's not in the stands. He's going to be thinking he's watching Villanova play again. But I know he is up there.
Now we have the Sooners' first sub is Terrence Mullins, number 24, and you see him there with that red knee brace, white knee.
Good help.
Great defensive help, and Mullins contributes off the bench. He wound up with that rebound underneath there inside of 7 minutes. 6:47 there in the first half. 1-point lead, and King does, it won't stay down for him. Grant taps it up. Goes back after it, out of bounds, Oklahoma ball.
Mookie Blaylock again keeping the ball alive on the offensive boards. It's amazing how he can weasel his way in there and get up on that glass. Change the call, Brent.
Well, the crowd agreed with that change over there in that corner. Kansas ball against the Oklahoma pressure. They lead at 36-35. He traveled in there.
That's right. He traveled on the end line. Now it's back to where it was originally called. You notice that Oklahoma changed their press that time, did not guard the man taking the ball out of bounds. Really made it tough.
Now Grant, now that turnover puts the Sooners ahead, 37-36. 11 Kansas turnovers, but the ones back there are the ones that really hurt because it gives Oklahoma an opportunity to score quickly.
Big stat right now, Brennan, those 2 fouls on Manning. Still a lot of time to play in this half.
Turnover number 12.
Yeah, the time of possession actually completely opposite of what I anticipated necessary for Kansas to win the game.
Seeger misses the 3. Manning rebounded. Now Berry brings it up. This is Lincoln Minor, number 11.
Blaylock gets a hand on it.
Manning trying to get back into the flow after sitting out for that time because of the 2 personals. Sometimes it takes a player a few trips. 5:47. Stolen. Here comes King. And Oklahoma with Stacey King's mother leading the cheers up there. She wears a great big T-shirt. Stacey King's mom. And if you ask her about it, she said, and I'm proud of it. And well, she should be.
Now, Brent, here's what's tough. Oklahoma goes back to the man-to-man. Larry Brown probably wanted them in that zone a while to rest. They go back to this man-to-man. They really put the pressure on.
Manning needs the basket, and he gets it for Kansas. That's the advantage of having a great player. And a steal by Minor. He comes back up and draws the foul.
Mullins actually threw the ball right to him. Blaylock needed to make a cut to create a passing lane. Well, watch it. Minor's got Blaylock caught down on the baseline. Blaylock probably should have taken off and gone up the sideline to create a passing lane. So that's one former teammate finally turning the tables on Blaylock.
This has been a great run by Oklahoma over the last couple of minutes, but they lead Kansas by only 1, 39-38. This has been a fan's pace. This is a game that the sellout crowd is thoroughly enjoying every trip down the floor.
So as long as Larry Brown can keep Manning out of that, from picking up that 3rd foul, he's got 5 minutes to go here. He may even consider, Brent, if Kansas can stay this close, of taking him out with the last 2 minutes.
Only 1 player has come off the Oklahoma bench so far. He's got the ball right now, Mullins, and he hasn't taken a shot. Seeger bangs the 3. That's his 4th 3 here of the first half, putting Oklahoma up by 2, 42-40.
Toughest shot in the world to make, coming out spinning against your body with that kind of range.
Now it's Newton. His 3 is good. It's 43-42, Kansas over Oklahoma.
Again, they got to be looking a little bit for Stacey King now.
Seeger almost lost it. Blaylock on the inside, and a foul is called now. And it's going to go against Minor. I thought for a moment when Manning was standing there that they might get 3 on him, but they did not. It goes against Minor, and Manning stayed away from that one. And again, Larry Brown will go to his bench. Mike Maddox will see action for the first time when you come back. Well, a summary of this game would look like this, and keep in mind that if Danny Manning scores 28 points tonight, he'll pass Oscar Robertson and move into 2nd place behind Elvin Hayes as the all-time NCAA tournament scorer. Speaking of tournament scorers, the NCAA committee chairman, what a nice man he is, Arnie Farron. And back in 1944, he played on a Utah team that beat Dartmouth for the championship 42-40. As a freshman, he was selected the MVP of the championship game. He was only the 2nd. He was the first, actually, and Purvis Ellison. Louisville was the 2nd. That foul goes against Kansas that time. And watching is Steve Kerr with mixed emotions, I'm sure. He would prefer to be playing alongside his Arizona teammates in this one. They were eliminated in the semifinal by Oklahoma Saturday.
I saw today the Kansas City Royals start out in baseball. Saberhagen was the pitcher. Brendan, you remember Kerr's last pitching effort as a high schooler? He got beat by Saberhagen. So I bet he watched a little baseball against his former opponent today. Quality person.
He might have offered some tips to Saberhagen on how to pitch to George Bell.
I hope not. He got 3 homers.
the missed free throw now. Oklahoma. Grace gets it into Blaylock's hands, and now Seeger, that's a three-point NBA shot.
What he's doing right now, Seeger, is squaring up so well at the basket. He's got unlimited range with that jumper.
Well, I'll tell you, Seeger is 5 of 7 now from three-point range. It's a 45-43 Oklahoma lead. Credit Seeger with giving him that lead. Moving inside at 3:40 now. And here's Danny Manning. Got it into Piper's hands. He lost the handle and traveled. Just couldn't get the grip on the ball. He had an easy two.
That was a good move by Piper and a great look by Danny Manning. But what happened to Piper? He looked to try to find the rim as he was catching the ball instead of catching it first.
13 turnovers. They wanted Grant, and now Oklahoma turns it over. That's number 8 for them.
You notice that little rest gave Manning an awful lot of good quickness there.
You know, Lincoln Minor is playing with some confidence here tonight as he hits that field goal for the Jayhawks. Piper siding King, almost a triple team. They force another turnover, but Blaylock gets it back. And
Grace Walker
forced to travel on Grace. 10 Oklahoma turnovers against Larry Brown's defense here so far tonight at the 3-minute mark. We're tied at 45.
You notice, Brent, how Oklahoma's not doing anything special to try to get that ball down with King and Manning. Manning will take him one-on-one.
Manning off a fake. Great defense by King. He stuffed the player of the year. And then Harris fouls Blaylock, who was coming around him. Harris's first personal foul. They are over the limit. They're into the 1-and-1 situation here.
Now here's the second team all Big 8. King blocking the player of the year, Manning. And I say second team all Big 8 because King, in my estimation, is one of the great players in college basketball. That shows you how tough the Big 8 was, particularly with the great senior class they had this year.
If Oklahoma wins the game tonight, this man at the free throw line could be the biggest difference. Why? His school selection came down to Kansas and Oklahoma when he left junior college ball. And Ricky Grace, a former teammate, said, I wanted to play with him, not against him. He helped recruit him. Harris puts it down, and as he came in, offensive foul out of control. And Brown will be furious about that. It's been kind of a bittersweet relationship between the two in it now. 2:48 now. We're tied at 45.
Brent, what is so tough for Larry Brown? You can see his strategy was to take the ball right to Oklahoma. Now, you got to figure there's got to be a time to pull back. But his players are not capable, at least the ones off the bench, of playing against Oklahoma at this pace.
So Harris goes out as Newton returns. And boy, they're going to pay attention to Seeger. They've been dropping off that guard to help out inside. Grace misses the three. Newton rebounding. Into Pritchard's hands. In a situation like this, you can almost feel confidence build when an underdog stays with a favorite if they can do it long enough. Now Piper from the perimeter. Missed the shot. Danny Manning taps it out. He knew his teammate was out there alone.
He went about 8 feet to go get that rebound. Good judgment on his part.
Over to Pritchard. Minor comes back, misfiring, and King powers the rebound. Oklahoma with an opportunity to go ahead, and Seeger hits another three for Dave Seeger, number 6.
Then I said his record was 7. It's actually 8. So he's got 2 to go to tie it. Going to their 1-4 offensive set now. Danny Manning very patiently trying to set up King to get position.
Knocked away by Grant, but Newton gets it back. Manning outside this time.
Danny Manning telling everybody
wants
get the ball out.
Clear out. He wants to go to work one-on-one over here. They didn't get it to him, so Newton will take a three and 48 all inside of 1 minute. Steal by Manning. He'll put it down. Here we go. Oh, and he'll come to the line.
Oh, what a play. I am shocked, Brent, that they can play a 50-point half against Oklahoma. absolutely shocked. Now, Manning tried to beat King one-on-one before. Here he shows his ability to dribble in the open court and goes for a potential three-point play. The steal on defense. I saw this young man when he was in Greensboro in high school put the ball on the floor. He's just a little bit bigger now.
Billy, do you think he might have taken it to the twilight zone?
I don't know. They're playing a basketball game as fine as you can possibly play.
They were so exhausted after the war against Duke that they did not practice yesterday. They only walked through their plays. Manning off the miss, couldn't get it to stay down. He has 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals already in the first half. Put Kansas ahead with that driving field goal by 2, 50-48. Down inside of a half minute.
Good backdoor cut.
King loses the handle. Grace back up, and Oklahoma ties it.
Larry Brown's going for one here. He's got 17 seconds. Shot clock off. How about the play off the bench for Kansas in this game?
Manning went after the missed shot. Time runs out on the first half, and it was a fabulous first half. Billy Tubbs might not have enjoyed every moment of it, nor did Danny Manning off that last miss. But it was sensational basketball. Oklahoma 50, Kansas 50. Our coverage of the NCAA National Championship on CBS will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by AT&T, the right choice. United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies. And by Volkswagen, experience German engineering the Volkswagen way.
We are at halftime in the national championship game. It is the highest scoring first half ever in a championship game, and we're tied at 50. Danny Manning has scored 14 points, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, and after this steal, he scores at the other end to give us the tie at halftime, 50-50. And how ironic that in the 50th anniversary of the Final Four, we're at halftime, and the score is indeed deadlocked at 50-50. The most points ever scored in a half of an NCAA championship game. 100 total points. Oklahoma and Kansas tied. The Jayhawks blazing away at 71%. They've hit 22 of 31. Meanwhile, Oklahoma is hitting 49%, 19 of 39. Offensive rebounds. Seeger with 3 of OU's 10, and they punch back 15. Look at the fast break points. Kansas has put on the board fast break points after the second chance points, 18. James Brown, what's the feeling over there on the Oklahoma side of things?
Well, Brent, the Oklahoma coaching staff was truly surprised that Kansas would try to get into a track meet with them. However, they're very pleased and would hope that Kansas will keep that up. That plays into their hands. The only thing they're hoping is that Kansas does not shoot 71% in the second half. Brent?
Billy, your feelings now about this second half?
Well, his name is Billy, and mine's Billy, too, and I am really shocked that Kansas came out and tried to play that kind of game. They did it very well, shot extremely well. I say they can play an up-tempo game, but they can't beat Oklahoma playing this way.
Did you know that no coach with the first name of Billy has ever won the national championship?
No, I didn't know that one.
That's something. No coach named Larry has ever won a national championship either. Okay. There is Coach Tubbs. Looks and sounds just a little bit like the most famous Los Angeles Laker fan in the world. And here in attendance tonight, Rick Barry to see his son Scooter. Scooter's mother, Pam Conley, also on hand here tonight watching the action. We come now to the start of the second half. 50 all. Oklahoma, number 1 out of the Southeast. They will start their lineup. Grace with the ball was the only Oklahoma starter to be out of the lineup, and Seeger misses a three-pointer, a rarity, and guess who's got it back? Blaylock for the Sooners.
Stacey King kept it alive.
Grant spins off the turnaround.
We talked about that double low post threat, and it makes it tough because Larry Brown has to keep Manning on one of those two great low post players. That's three.
Offensive foul, number 3 on Danny Manning to start the second half, with Oklahoma had 52-50 at the 1935 mark.
I bet Larry Brown's got to go with Danny Manning now. The last time when he picked up his second, he had to take him out, but it was a good time to take him out because he's getting a little tired anyway, but now he's got to go with it.
Into Grant's hands, and Grant misfires. Gildner off with the rebound. Pritchard, Gildner, Piper, Newton, and Manning on the floor for Kansas.
King matched up man-to-man with Manning down low. King's been able to stay out of foul trouble because Grant can really help out. Piper normally not a guy's going to put it up.
Manning couldn't get the left-handed tap to fall, but Oklahoma mishandles it onto the basket, and it will be Jayhawks' ball.
That's a good job by Piper to recognize that Grant is not playing him, so he might be able to even move in a couple of more steps and take a jumper or two.
Pritchard penetrates left-handed drive.
Good change off the pass. A good thing to do against a player like Blaylock that's trying to steal everything.
Grant lost it, but wound up in Seeger's hands. King misfires. Gildner battles for the loose ball and comes up for it. Kansas.
You notice when King gets the ball in the low post, how he uses his lower body to push the defender away before he makes his move. Very effective with it.
Now Kansas is Larry Brown, determined coming into this game, taking more time here in the second half. Gildner's 3, rings out. Newton with an offensive rebound off Seeger, but into Grant's hands, and the Sooners come down with the score deadlocked at 52. Bad pass. Piper right there again.
He has played a sensational Final Four in the defensive end.
Here's Newton into Manning's hands. Manning starting slowly at the offensive end, gets this one to fall.
Brent, he's got that half hook down to a science. You can shoot the jumper facing straight on, but he's got the half hook that you just can't block.
Into King.
There he was.
Ties it at 54.
See how he used his lower legs to move Piper away. He never pushes with his arms, but he really uses his lower legs well. Lower part of his legs.
Oklahoma's defense has loosened up a little bit also. Dropping back, retreating into more of a half-court set here. Manning knocks it back to Pritchard. Here's Newton looking for the hot hand. It's 14.
Grant, Oklahoma has really changed up their defense now. Grant's not going to play Piper at all. He's playing a one-man zone down in low. That gives Kansas a chance always to throw the ball back out. Grace, a cold night.
And reach-in foul on Blaylock. A late whistle.
He knew it. Nice piece of officiating there to be in the perfect position to catch him coming around from behind.
56-54. Kansas leading Oklahoma, and Normore back in with Pritchard sitting down on the Kansas bench, and Minor also checks in, and Gildner sits. Newton is absolutely perfect. 6 of 6 for the Jayhawks so far. He gave them this lead, 56-54. 16:55 to go, and Blaylock quickly draws the charging foul. Normore commits his third. Great defensive play here by Blaylock.
See that? He reaches in as if he's going for the steal. Normore has to use his upper body strength to push him away. Blaylock's reputation is growing each and every day. Larry Brown showing some confidence in Minor, bringing him in here this early in the half. Got a pretty good first half.
I thought he played very well, Bill.
Yes. Larry Brown has a great feel for his personnel.
Blaylock not there, and Piper with rebounding position gets another one. Feed now to Minor. Short. Stolen by Manning from behind.
Grant never saw him.
Brings it to the attack and hits the field goal. It's 58-54, a 4-point Kansas lead.
Seeger hasn't been able to get anything off from the three-point range. Milt's doing a good job on him.
Seeger moving the ball to Grace, and they drop into King. Piper is there, and he drew the foul.
It is amazing how much King has progressed. He was dropped academically from the team coming out as a freshman. Then he was moved from a starting player down to a sub last year, although he was outstanding. But this year, he has made strides that I've never seen a big man make over the course of one season.
Blaylock's three.
Oklahoma's starting to put up some bad shots. Now, although they take a lot of shots, they want to put it up quickly. They've got the wrong man shooting right now.
Seeger's first personal foul.
You notice the first time I've seen any emotion negative-wise coming out of the Oklahoma players. Grant shaking his head, and I think what he's shaking it at is why are they shooting the ball outside before we get a chance to touch it inside?
It gets tougher and tougher for a favorite the longer it goes, because suddenly that doubt begins to creep in, Billy. You hang close if you're an underdog. So many times this decade we've seen it come to pass.
Kansas changing it. Go into their open set now without having somebody in the post. They love to get backdoor cuts off.
Manning wants it. Has it knocked away. No foul called that time, and Brown is livid.
I thought Blaylock got a hand on Manning for that one. Got away with it.
Here's Grace's three-point shot. He was left alone that time. And that is the 8th three-pointer for Oklahoma. They are 8 of 15. Kansas is 4 of 6 from three-point land here tonight.
Brent, Oklahoma has 3 players that have taken over 200 three-point attempts this year. Kansas only has a little over 200 as a team. Shows you the different philosophy.
Manning missing. Harris complaining that he was pushed underneath. We've got a television timeout at the 14:50 mark. 58-57. Kansas with a 1-point lead. Well, even though they're down by a point here, Oklahoma does have one number heavily in its favor. They are plus 12 in the three-point category, and Dave Seeger hit 6 all in the first half. His parents watching tonight. Seeger is a 6'5" senior. Played high school ball in Renton, Washington, and he is the glue. He has helped hold this Oklahoma team together all season long here for Coach Tubbs. Long pass, Grace runs it down.
Good move by Larry Brown to go a little press of his own, just changing the pace.
He also brings Berry in off the bench. He's out there with Pritchard. Manning playing with 3 fouls. They get another turnover. Lead for Newton. Newton saves it. Gets it out of Manning's hands.
You know, Newton has scored very well in this tournament, but he has made 2 of the best passes we've seen in the tournament. The behind-the-backer against Duke, and then that one.
Manning taps it back to Pritchard. Bangs the 2 in.
You notice Manning didn't even have to catch that ball, just to flip back outside. The great hands.
Kansas leading by 3, 60-57. Grace trades. And on the drive, through the personal foul, the first against Pritchard. Watch this great save again that Billy was talking about.
Again, he's going to use his tremendous leaping ability and his court awareness to throw this ball behind his back swiftly enough to a man with a pretty soft pair of hands, Danny Manning.
Jeff Gellner will join Newton and the other Jayhawks on the floor as Pritchard listens to head coach Larry Brown.
You know, Pritchard had 19 in the second half against Oklahoma in one of their games this year. So it's not like Kansas hasn't had success. In the last 8 times these 2 teams have played, Kansas has won 5 of the games.
Coach K. Mixed feelings, I'm sure. Mike Krzyzewski did another great job down at Duke. He has put together a program down there that now challenges Dean Smith in North Carolina almost annually. In fact, he swept the Tar Heels 3 straight this year. Grace hammers in the throw. 60-58, a 2-point Kansas lead. 14-minute mark, second half, NCAA championship game. 2 teams for the Big 8.
Grant getting out a little higher on Piper because he realized Piper's wide open as the passing outlet.
Jump pass is a beauty, and the foul is on Grace. That is his 3rd personal foul. That's 3 team fouls on Oklahoma and 4 against Kansas here at the 13:48 mark. Might see Mullins come back in the ball game for Grace. That's the only sub there in the first half of any consequence.
Larry Brown said before this game that the one player on the Sooner team he felt they could attack tonight was Ricky Grace. Great pass to Berry. Missed the shot, tries to tap it in. Newton stays with it. And King coming out is fouled by Berry.
Tremendous interior passing by Kansas, however.
Well, Rick was a marvelous passer himself. I'm sure he appreciates that facet of the game. And at the conclusion of tonight's championship game, we'll select the Chevrolet most valuable player from each team. And Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship check to both Oklahoma and Kansas. Seeger's three, and that's his first of the second half, but his 7th for the game.
One away from his record.
Putting Oklahoma ahead again, 61-60. What a fabulous shooting night for Dave Seeger. Here is Mookie Blaylock. It's now a 3-point lead. 63-60, and Kansas must be careful now. Oklahoma can spurt as fast as any team in the country. And a timeout is quickly called by Larry Brown. What Tubbs has been waiting for. Timeout, Kansas.
When you look for champions, look to college basketball on CBS Sports.
Brett, there's a reason why Blaylock is such a great stealer of the ball. First of all, watch his eyes, how they're going to center on this ball. Then watch his great foot movement. And then the last thing is going to be the great arm movement to go for the steal. He's one of the best you'll ever see in college basketball. There's the foot movement. Now he goes in there with the steal with the hands. Perfect balance. Has over 200 this year. First time in the history of collegiate basketball that a backcourt combination both had over 200.
Oklahoma looking for its first national basketball championship. First school in history to play for both the football and the basketball championship the same year. They were beaten by Miami in the Orange Bowl in football. Now they lead Kansas 63-60 with 12 minutes and 40 seconds to go here for the basketball title. And they forced still another turnover. That was Dave Seeger, who's having a great night shooting. 7 of 10 from three-point range. He was 12 of 33 for the tournament, only 36% until tonight. And Seeger guns another one. Misfires that one. Grant gets it back, and Seeger will try it again. Misfires two quickly in a row, and he thought about it. But Gellner was right on top of it.
He may take another one if Pritchett doesn't get out on him. There's that push off by King. That was a foul.
King getting away with it. And
Larry Brown wisely gets Pritchett back in the game because he realized Blaylock was starting to take over.
Kansas needs a field goal, and Piper gives it to him. It's back to 3.
I wonder why Billy Tubbs is allowing Grant to play that far off Piper. He's giving him the wide open shot and making him available to be the open man and whenever anybody gets in trouble with the ball.
Manning coming out on Grant. They ship the Blaylock off the fake. With that great quickness, he penetrates. Short. No Kansas player there. It was Grace. Left alone
King
quickly.
is in the lane.
And he just stayed in the lane. They turned it over.
Now, King is a little annoyed with Grace, and rightfully should be. Grace either should have taken the shot or fired it down into that low post.
And Harris comes in. They were expecting him to shoot, and that's why he was camped in the lane so he could turn and attempt to rebound if it was missed. 65-62. Oklahoma leading by 3 here at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City. This is the 10th national championship game played in this city. Kansas has tried for a title 3 times here and lost all 3. Their only championship was won up in Seattle. Manning off the fake with a great play. He can tie it with a free throw.
We've been comparing this young man with Larry Bird, Brent, all the way through the tournament. And you really have to start saying that on at least the collegiate level, is an honest comparison because he has done it all. Watch the pump fake off the jump shot. You've got to play him. There's a little pro walk he got by with there. Then he goes underneath King to get off that beautiful soft shot he had. He does not have Bird's range on the jumper, but he can do a lot of the other things very similar.
20 points here tonight, Billy, and 12 rebounds. Make it 21 and tied at 65. Kansas was down by 5, and now they've battled back to tie it.
inside of 11-10. And now the Kansas defense flying after Oklahoma. Blaylock hits a three, and he responds to it.
Blaylock's having a sensational game himself, not only on defense, but hitting those key shots. Normore's got his hands full with the ball.
Remember Freddie Banks of UNLV last year in the semifinal, lost to Indiana. Shades of that three-point shooting here.
Here's what I'm talking about. If you're not going to play Piper, see, it makes no sense for all the other guys to be working hard on defense because Piper will always be open for the outlet pass. Now Grant's coming out and playing a little tighter.
They shift Manning jump hook. He released a little quickly that time, and the ball is out of bounds. Boy, Grant quickly wanted to take that ball. Newton over, receiving some tape on his right ankle on the Kansas bench. 10:20 to go. Oklahoma up by 3, and it goes over to Kansas. Tubbs unhappy. 15 turnovers by Oklahoma in this game. Gildner sits down. On the floor, Harris, Normore, and Pritchard, along with Piper and Manning. And Oklahoma's pressure defense was much more evident in the first half than it has been here in the second. And they lead it by 3 points, 68-65, closing in on the 10-minute mark of regulation.
Grant has got to go out and play Piper. This allows Kansas to get the tempo right where they want it.
Standing there as the shot clock comes on now.
Now Grant's playing him out there.
Inside to Manning, unstoppable there.
And now Billy Tubbs would say, that's why I have him back in there. I'm trying to double team Manning. So Manning causing a lot of problems even without the ball.
OU leading 68-67. Grace.
He altered the shot. Good defense.
Manning rebounds. Kansas with a chance to go ahead this trip. Oklahoma unable to shake the Jayhawks so far.
And now they've got to go out and play him because this is the game, the tempo that Larry Brown will be very satisfied with. He's done a masterful job controlling tempo. The first half, he pushed it up the floor, and now he's taking it back out.
Oklahoma's hit only one field goal the last 3 minutes. 4 of their starters have played the entire game. Manning throws in a jump hook for the lead. 69-68, 8:45.
And you know Oklahoma has not pumped the ball inside of late. They're going strictly with a jump shot.
Grant missing Kansas ball. Muscling out now is Piper. Here's Pritchard.
They've got 5 on 4. Seeger went down trying to draw the elbow foul. Now Oklahoma has changed defensive assignments. Grant is on Manning. They're playing the open offense, looking for those backdoor cuts.
And away from the ball, it's on Ricky Grace. That's number 4.
Pritchard did exactly the right thing. Grace on a big overplay. Pritchard took him backdoor. Grace knew he was beat and tried to grab a hold of him.
Gildner into the game for Kansas.
Brent, the other thing that this tempo was doing, it's allowing Danny Manning not to pick up foul trouble, allowing them to stay fresh. So Larry Brown is not being worn down here in the second half as he would have if they kept up the pace of the first half.
He wanted to slow it down in the second half, and Oklahoma is making it easier for him. As Grace leaves with Mullins in for the second time. He's been the only sub used by Coach Tubbs in this game. He was in for 3 minutes in the first half replacing Grace. Now he comes back in. Meanwhile, Larry Brown has shoveled players in and out. Manning with 3 personnel.
And they go to a half-court 1-3-1 trap, which is not effective at all the way Kansas moves that ball.
Harris loses it. Kansas ball. Oklahoma touched it last.
Harris is making Larry Brown nervous. He's got to come back, and he does with Piper.
One of the finest coaches in a college game, Larry Brown, masterfully maneuvering this team. This is a team with 11 losses. If they win this game tonight, that's more losses than any national champion has ever suffered in 1 year. Yet, he has won 14 of his last 17. They have avenged 2 of those losses, Kansas State and Duke. The next to fall would be Oklahoma if they keep it up. Piper, 71-68, 720.
Brent, the 1-3-1 half-court defense that Oklahoma has is really helping Kansas now. Allows them to play their tempo, and they just move the ball so well against it.
King muscling free. Stays with it. Kansas coming out now. They lose it back to Grant. Seeger for the layup. Drew the foul.
Tough break for Piper. He was caught a little bit out of position because he anticipated his team was going to have the ball. And Seeger, who's having a great night for Oklahoma, took advantage of it.
That is 16 fouls on Kansas. The 2 players they can ill afford to lose are Piper and Manning, each with 3 personals. Newton, after receiving tape on that right ankle, will check back into the game. Minor now will replace Normal.
Brent, you can see on the scoreboard, Oklahoma has only scored 18 points in the second half, and we're under the 7-minute mark. When they don't score, they can't press because they never get you in a situation where you're taking the ball out of bounds. So it's hurt them both ways.
Larry Brown so far tonight has made 33 substitutions. Billy Tubbs has made 3.
Little apprehension on the look of that bench over there at Oklahoma.
Trailing by 2. Seeger's 3-point shooting has truly kept this team in it. Now at the free throw line, he misses his second. Piper rebound. So it's a 2-point game, 71-69, Kansas over Oklahoma. Manning, a sensational ball handler for someone who is 6'10". He could have gone to the NBA last year, but he passed it up. His mother, a school teacher in Lawrence, convinced him to stay and work toward that degree, which he did. And it certainly has not hurt his bargaining power as an upcoming NBA professional.
Not exactly a 4 corners, just an open offense with a lot of backdoor cuts. Larry Brown, of course, was an assistant under Dean Smith.
Played for him for 1 year, also played for Frank McGuire. Traveled. A late call by Higgins, but a good one. Pritchard traveled. That is turnover number 21 by the Jayhawks. This one does not hurt that much, however. It was down at their end. It's the turnovers up here when you're trying to bring it down against the Oklahoma pressure, which was much more prevalent in the first half, that'll truly kill you against the Sooners.
Pritchard was fighting the shot clock on that last one.
Blaylock dumps Grant. It falls. Harvey Grant ties it at 71. 5:50 to go.
3rd-team All-American, 1st-team All-Big 8, junior college transfer. Grant coming through for him in the clutch. They have not been going inside.
Piper passed it up. Pritchard comes down the baseline and throws in a field goal to put the Jayhawks up again, 73-71.
And I think Kansas is pretty fresh because of the tempo of this game in the second half. They look much fresher than they were in the first half.
A brilliant game plan unfolding perfectly so far.
Well, Oklahoma's allowing Larry Brown to use some clock here. They haven't been out pressuring tough man-to-man like they did in the first half. Is it possible that Oklahoma's getting a little tired?
Jumping out was Blaylock, and he fouled him at number 3.
He got the arm. Brent, we've talked about the great conditioning of Oklahoma. This is the first time I've seen them looking up at the clock and checking that timeout a little bit. They worked on aerobics, and they are heavily devoted to aerobics. A young lady has a place called Second Wind, which I think is really an interesting name, and that's what Oklahoma has had this entire year.
In a game like this, it can be as much mental pressure as physical.
Well, particularly when you're holding the ball like this, you really start feeling it as a defender.
Blaylock hounding Pritchard. Get it into Harris's hands.
Manning on the bench now. Have to be very careful here.
Kansas up by the 2. Minor doesn't get the bounce, and King down with the rebound. Oklahoma could go ahead with a 3 or tie it here with a deuce. Seeger's 3. Here, the battle of the glass that time goes out of bounds. Grant tried to keep it in play. We're going to have a TV timeout. And the Oklahoma athletes will welcome it at the 4:26 mark. 73-71 Kansas. Seeking its second national championship tonight. 1952 in Seattle. They beat St. John's 80-63. That man, Clyde Lovellette, scored 33 points and yanked down 17 rebounds for the Jayhawks. Tonight, Danny Manning is trying to equal that performance. He has scored 25 points here.
And Fred, there's B.H. Bourne, who was also the MVP in a Final Four for Kansas. They've had 3 MVPs. Will Chamberlain was also the MVP in '57. 2 of those 3 were on losing teams.
Including Chamberlain in perhaps the greatest championship game ever played, the triple overtime, won by North Carolina over Kansas. That game played right here in Kansas City.
And here's
1957. Now Oklahoma returns to the full court pressure. Grace is back on the floor. Manning bringing it up. He is returned for the stretch with 3 fouls. Kansas leading it 73-71.
Blaylock looking for that steal.
Manning off the dribble.
Left-handed.
It's a 4-point Jayhawk lead, 75-71. Grace. Misfired. Manning rebounds.
That was a monster rebound inside, and Oklahoma has forgotten all about King and Grant inside. They're starting to crack a little bit in their shot selection. Handles the ball just like a guard when he's at the top of the key.
Normore, Piper, Manning, Newton, and Minor on the floor for the Jayhawks. Manning did not want it. He shook him off on the inside.
He's looking at the clock on the other end. He knows it's not down to 10 seconds yet.
It's inside.
Now it is. Now he wants the ball. Now he wants it.
Normore penetrates, drops it off to Piper, and the buzzer hits the field goal.
They use the entire 45.
77-71. Inside of 3 minutes. Knocked away by Manning and out of bounds. Oklahoma ball.
You can't say enough about the game that young man has played tonight. Player of the year.
Shaking his fist now to his teammates. The one thing that I love about Danny Manning, everybody plays better around him. As again, late in the game, Gildner will check in now, and Normore leaves.
Kansas fans can thank his mom. She's the one that said stay in school.
Race cut off at the baseline.
They just can't go inside. Here it is.
Stacey King. Not there. Kansas ball. Pritchard thought about going for the home run against Newton, and then he wisely elected not to gamble. They bring the clock down again, leading by those 6 points. 2:20 to go. 77-71 Kansas. They have hit 6 of their last 7 shots from the floor.
Pritchard and Manning, the big men, being the step-out fellas. Manning wanted to take it himself.
This is that time, though. It was too hard off the glass. And Blaylock into the hands of Grace, who misfired, but the foul underneath is on Newton, and that is his first personal foul of the game.
Brent, the Oklahoma players looking up at that clock. To me, that's always the telltale sign when players start to worry. Instead of concentrating on the game, they look up at score and time.
Normore quickly returns, and Gildner is out. And now sitting down for the first time in this game is Stacey King.
I think the reason for that, Billy Billy Tubbs going to go for a defensive buck, try to get some more defensive pressure on either Manning or Piper when they step out in that open offense.
Oklahoma has scored but 6 points in the last 10 minutes of this game. And as a result, they have fallen behind by 6. Billy's wife, Pat, anxious here in the stands in Kansas City. Billy has some fabulous three-point shooters. You've seen Seeger in action tonight. Blaylock can put it up. Still has 2 minutes to play. Grace makes it a 77-73 game. Manning cross court to Newton now.
Great careful vision by Danny Manning. He was looking down the right-hand side of the court and threw it cross court to the left.
On the drive to the glass, he pushed up a second miss. 2 times in a row now, Manning has missed critical shots here for the Jayhawks. Blaylock's 3. Up over the top. Kansas ball, so it didn't hurt him that time. They'll get the ball back.
Fred, I think Larry Brown, had he not gotten that good bounce, would have gone to a timeout. Now, Billy Tubbs helps him here. When Tubbs takes a timeout, this gives Brown just what he wants because he wants to talk that club about using the clock.
Well, we had 100 points in the first half and 50 this half. And timeouts. Both coaches with 20 here for the stretch. 1:39 to go, and the possession arrow in favor of Kansas. At the top of this game, we reminded one and all of the upsets of the 80s.
Well, Brent, I'm going to throw a bouquet to you. You're the guy that always smells this kind of stuff. I never have a feel for it. NC State, Villanova. Maybe there's something about the 80s, that this is the Twilight Zone decade.
Billy, I think this one was easy. Home court, great player like Manning, and a great coach like Larry Brown. I think you're always in a game with that combination. Normore is fouled by Mullins. Oklahoma will start to put them on the line. They'll be shooting 1-and-1, and they've elected to start off with Normore. At the 1:30 mark, Kansas up by 4. Checking the free throws. Kansas has shot but 4 tonight. They have hit 3 of them. Oklahoma has shot 13, and they have scored 9 as King returns.
Danny Manning's been able to stay out of foul trouble in this second half, and the possession, and you can see some players looking down as they do. And here was Archie Marshall. Story in his own right.
However, this is a very talented Oklahoma team. And it would be extremely premature to write them off at this moment. Blaylock. How they see? Loose. Kansas ball. A big grab off a loose ball.
Brett, with Seeger in the game for the 3, and still Grant and King, who have not been utilized at all here in the second half by Oklahoma offensively, it's amazing to me that Blaylock and Grace are trying to do so much themselves. If you're going to penetrate, pop the ball back out to Seeger or look to get the ball to King inside. That's what carried you here. The weakest free throw shooter in that starting lineup, Newton, ready to go on that line.
Wish upon a star, Ryan. Your team is only 113 away.
Brent, that armband on Newton's arm is for Frank Williams, his high school coach out of Washington, D.C. Coolidge.
The rest of the armbands are worn in the memory of Roy Edwards, an alum who was very close to the program down at Kansas. 1:11 now, 78-73. It's a 5-point lead. Oklahoma has hit only 1 of its last 10 shots from the field.
Manning doing it all.
Grace glides and quickly calls a timeout at the 58-second mark. A 3-point lead after that driving layup, 78-75. We'll be right back. Oklahoma needs the basketball, and that means keep an eye on Mookie Blaylock, number 10. He has 6 steals for the Sooners here tonight. 143, the most ever in a season already for the Sooners. Coming in here, and he is the man who pesters, pounds the ball, and after that driving layup, they'll set the full court pressure that has been so successful for Coach Tubbs and the Sooners here this year.
And here's the press that doesn't have somebody guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds.
Kansas. Blaylock has got it. He's got it from Pritchard. Grace's three. Misfires. Manning goes after it. There's a foul on Grant underneath.
Brent, you pointed out the 143 steals. Watch the great anticipation, foot quickness. Just an outstanding player. Over 200 assists and 100 steals by Grace and Blaylock on the year. First time in the history of college basketball. This young man's had an outstanding game, but his running mate has not had a real good ball game.
King into the lineup. Give them size underneath the basket there to rebound off a possible missed free throw. Danny Manning, 1 point away now from moving ahead of the great Oscar Robertson and becoming the second all-time leading scorer in NCAA tournament play. Couldn't do it with that free throw. And Danny Manning has missed some important shots down the stretch. Kansas 78, Oklahoma 75. Blaylock in behind Manning, who had his back turned to him, and Mookie Blaylock has pulled Oklahoma to within 1, 78-77. A timeout by the Sooners with 40 seconds to go. They will again set up that pressure defense.
Anytime they can score, obviously, it gives them big advantage. And Brent, when you look up there in the second half, they've only scored 27 points. We had the all-time record there at halftime when they both had 50. And again, when you don't have the points, you can't get the press.
This has been a great tournament here in Kansas City, and these fans here are really enjoying it. To go now. Kansas leading Oklahoma 78-77. Kansas ball. Scooter Berry out there with Newton, Pritchard, and Manning. Piper will take the ball out of bounds. Coming out now for Coach Tubbs and the Sooners. Grace, Blaylock, Seeger, Mullins, and Grant.
But again, they employ the press without guarding the man taking the ball out. Grace is the safety man.
They double up on Pritchard into Berry's hands. They want him out there to shoot a free throw. Quickly over to Pritchard. They move it to Manning. Shot clock is off.
And the foul is Newton if you get a chance.
They're keeping the ball out of his hands so far. Here's Berry. They will elect to put Scooter Berry on the free throw line. At the 16-second mark, 78-77. It'll be the son of one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time, moving up to the free throw line, Scooter Berry.
Got the good stroke, of course, is the guy maybe responsible for putting Kansas in the Final Four with the great game he had against Kansas State.
In the tournament, Scooter Berry is 14 of 18 from the free throw line. He won't use the same style
And nobody right now is more nervous than his father. A 2-point lead.
That was a good-looking stroke, Brent. A lot of confidence.
Short on that one, but Manning has it knocked away, and there's a foul called on Stacey King. Danny Manning comes to the free throw line. A championship could be in hand for this family.
And Brett, the key here is they're up 2. He goes to the line. If he hits 2, that takes away the opportunity for that three-point shot to tie things up. So it would put Oklahoma in a situation where they need 2 possessions.
The son of Ed Manning is now the second greatest scorer in the history of NCAA tournament play. He has put the Jayhawks up by 3. 14 seconds to go. Timeout. Kansas. It's 81-77. 14 seconds to go when you come back. There is no place like home, and indeed that could be the case tonight for the Jayhawks of Kansas. With 14 seconds to go, Oklahoma must hurry, and they have not been too proficient from three-point line this half. They go for the 2 right away on a driving layup by Grace, and quickly Tubbs goes to the timeout with 7 seconds.
That's his last timeout, Brent. 7 seconds to go. But with that timeout, of course, he stops the clock. Ricky Grace goes the full length here, and he's very good at this. He doesn't mind going in the trees. Good hesitation dribble. Then he makes the spin, goes under Danny Manning. Surprised Danny came out that high because he played kind of in Grace's hands. But that's the last timeout Billy Tubbs had.
The evening began with the Jayhawks coming onto the floor, greeted by this capacity crowd here in the Kemper Arena, with Archie Marshall, their spiritual leader, in uniform. He was in uniform when they played their last home game. He, of course, the young man who in the tournament 2 years ago exploded a knee against Duke down in the first half. You can see the knee brace there on the left knee. That was the other knee, which he blew out against St. John's back in December in the Holiday Festival. Ever since then, Danny Manning has worn the number 23 on his wristband.
Brent, if you're Billy Tubbs now with 7 seconds to go and no timeout, what you have to do is go for the steal on the inbounds pass and then immediately foul, because you've got to get the ball down the length of the floor. You cannot afford to let Kansas bring the ball back up over half court. Now, if you're Larry Brown, one of the things you got to be thinking about, you know they're pushing the ball up court, trying to make the steal. Maybe go long and steal it with the long pass going for the layup.
And they have kept the ball out of Newton's hands, and I'm sure that Larry Brown reminds them of that as they leave the huddle. With 7 seconds to go now, Danny Manning wants to huddle the Jayhawks here.
One of the great things about Manning is that he's a tremendous receiver of these kind of passes. Even though Grant's on him, sometimes he can throw over ahead. Now look for somebody to break long.
And quickly he calls a timeout as everyone was sealed up. Didn't want a violation and give Oklahoma an opportunity. Larry Brown still with a timeout to go here in 7 seconds and leading 81-79. We go back to the start of this game, and it was a surprise tactic by Brown and the Jayhawks. They came out and ran right at the Oklahoma pressure defense. They took the Sooners in their own game, and we were tied at halftime 50-all. The most points ever scored in the half of an NCAA championship game.
We know, Brent, the University of Kansas just has so much much tradition. More people with Kansas heritage in the Hall of Fame with 13. You've got Larry Brown, the 4th Kansas coach to take a team to the Final Four. Just steeped with great basketball tradition.
So many similarities in this evening here in Kansas City to that one in Lexington a few years ago. Villanova in '85 upsetting Georgetown. Look at the record coming in. Kansas with 1 more loss. Field goal percentage, free throw percentage. And then tonight, Kansas has done what Villanova and Raleigh Massimino did that night. They shot well from the field. They knocked down when they were open. They hit their field goals. They've hit 64% in this game here tonight against the talented Sooners of Oklahoma. 81-79, Kansas leading by 2.
And they had that shooting percentage up in the high 70s through most of the first half. Billy Tubbs realizing he has no more timeouts, so anything he's going to say to this club, he's got to say in this huddle. Looking for that breath.
They get it to Manning's hands. Danny Manning now will come up to the free throw line with 5 seconds remaining.
Just 2 off the clock. Good strategy by Billy Tubbs. All he can hope for now is that Manning does not convert 2 of them, because that would be the ball game for the simple reason if Oklahoma even took it down and scored, Brent, Kansas would not have to take the ball in bounds because it's under 5 seconds and Tubbs has no more timeout. So this whole game rides on these free throws.
It is only appropriate that for the Kansas Jayhawks, it comes down to Danny Manning at the free throw line. His line on the night. He's 3 of 5 from the free throw line. Now for an NCAA championship, and no one will be prouder than his papa.
Well, Brett, if he makes this free throw, this game is over, because even if Oklahoma scores, Kansas doesn't have to take it out of bounds.
Now Danny Manning shooting to give the Kansas Jayhawks their 2nd national championship. Kansas has won it.
It's mathematically impossible now, as long as Kansas does not foul, for Oklahoma to win the game. Larry Brown can't believe it.
The Kansas Jayhawks have beaten all odds. They have lost more games than any champion in the history of the NCAA. And bedlam reigns here in Kansas City as the Jayhawks beat the Sooners 83-79. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why they play these games. If we decided them on paper, there'd be no use showing up in the arena and enjoying emotions such as Larry Brown did, or the heartbreak felt by Billy Tubbs and the Sooners of Oklahoma, who came so close to winning their first ever national championship. They were matched against simply a marvelous talent, Danny Manning. There have been doubters throughout the last 2 years of his career. Let there be no more doubters. Danny Manning has turned in one of the greatest years ever in the history of college basketball. We're going to come back. We'll hear from Danny Manning and the architect, Larry Brown, when we continue in a moment. The celebration continues in Kemper Arena. Simply put, it was another championship game classic. And the Chevy MVPs from this contest, who else but, of course, Danny Manning for the Kansas Jayhawks. 31 points, 18 rebounds for Manning, Dave Seeger for Oklahoma. Let's go back down courtside. Brent Musburger and Billy Packer.
The celebration continuing here for Larry Brown, Danny Manning, and everybody else on this Kansas team. Danny, congratulations. This was a fabulous performance.
Thanks a lot. This was great to be able to finish our collegiate career national champs and playing in front of our home fans in Kansas City. It's great.
We talked seeing all the adversity that's come against this club. And right on this very floor, about 3 weeks ago, you guys went home from the Big 8 tournament. Now you're back with the national championship. How in the world does something like that happen over a period of 3 weeks?
I think it happens because we got great seniors. And, you know, we have a super player. And I can't even express myself. I don't even know how to say it. It's like, I don't know how to say national champs, but I'm going to learn
That's what you are, Larry. One other question I want to ask him, Brent. In regard to the pace of this game in the first half, 50-point all-time record. I personally didn't believe you could contain them that way and sustain that type of pace. The second half, you changed it around completely. How did you make the change?
Well, I tried to get the kids to just think if we could get into the last 5 minutes with it close. They haven't been there a long time, and I couldn't slow them down, and finally the kids did it.
Billy, here I am with the inspirational leader of this team, Archie Marshall. Archie, in uniform tonight, how did you feel? What were you going through over there on the sideline?
A lot of excitement. I was excited throughout the whole game, and we're national champions right now, and it's something that I always wanted as a person, and our whole team is something we always wanted together, and that was one of our main goals from the beginning, and we got it.
All right, congratulations again. A marvelous job by the Kansas Jayhawks, and we'll continue from Kansas City in just a moment.